and it's a great time to just, ask questions and really pick up some new things. So this is called winning in the kitchen, based on something my coach, my cycling coach, says, is that you win bike races in the kitchen. In other words, while everybody else is worried about how much they're riding their bike, he's like, cycling has a lot of power to weight ratio. So, the lighter you are on the bike, the faster you're going to go. So his big thing is, win in the kitchen. So not only do you get lighter, but also you get this rocket fuel. So instead of trying to win a race on donuts, you're winning a race on arugula, which is called rocket lettuce, we call it. So I like the idea of winning in the kitchen, though, because it's the same thing with life. You win at the game of having a healthy life in the kitchen. You don't do it outside of, somewhere else. You do it in the kitchen, because so much of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, things that are largely preventable, you can drastically reduce your chances of getting those things by what you're eating. And there's just so much research that shows that by decreasing the inflammation levels in your body, by decreasing insulin and blood sugar in your body, you set yourself up to live a long, healthy, productive life, which is what we want for everybody. Now, the reason everyone doesn't do that is because it can be hard to win in the kitchen. So we want to make sure that you're able to win in the kitchen and do it in a way that's sustainable as you move forward. So I'm going to go through how to navigate the store, because winning in the kitchen starts in the store. If you make good choices there, it's much easier to win at home. It's almost impossible to win in the kitchen at home if you don't have the right things to build your meals from. And then I'm going to show you some simple mistakes I see people make with certain foods, and then some lessons you can learn that will apply to the rest of the foods that you're eating. So first thing I always want to tell people is you got to know your store, okay? And I always teach people, shop in the horseshoe. So if you're looking at this right now, if you look at the cursor, when you walk in the front here, you're pretty safe out here, but you're in trouble if you're going down the middle aisles down here, right? Because if you walk in, you see flowers, over here. So, always maybe buy some flowers and bring them home for your significant other or your daughter or son or whoever you're buying them for. But that's always kind of nice, pretty non-threatening. But then once you get in here, that's where you really should start shopping. So your vegetables, fruits, and your unprocessed foods, things that don't have a food label. That's where you should be buying the majority of your food over here. And then you get in the back, you got the dairy section, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they'll have things like almond milk, rice milk, flax milk, a lot of raw cheese, yogurt, some things that are actually okay back there. I just try to avoid a lot of pasteurized cow's milk. But then, you're safe back here in the meats, so you can pick up a lot of good, meats back here. Eggs and dairy over here. Frozen food, you can actually find a lot of good things in the frozen food aisle. You can find some bad things too, right? That's where the frozen pizza and the ice cream is. But that's also where frozen sweet potatoes, diced sweet potatoes that I use all the time, or frozen broccoli, or frozen berries that you use in your smoothie. There's still plenty of good stuff you can find over there. You usually got to skip past the bakery aisle. A lot of times that's over here. But you got to watch out for this middle section here, because this is where all this processed junky food is. That's the cookies and crackers and snack foods and sodas and all of that stuff. So shop in the horseshoe. I really don't go down these aisles very much. So I don't even know all that much of what's in there. Canned food, I'll buy some canned beans and things like that. I know where those are, but I try to stay out of there, and I don't spend too much time lingering in the checkout section, because that's where they're trying to get you to get the impulse buys. So number one is shop in the horseshoe. Number two, don't go to the store hungry. We all know that. Every time you go hungry, your bill goes up a lot and you make choices that you normally wouldn't make. So go after you've eaten, and then go with a list. Okay, so if you have a list, you can bang through this thing and you're not getting these impulse buys. So that's number one, is know your store. Now, the next thing is got to read food labels. So if you want to have a habit of having a lean, healthy body and eating foods that are great for you, you got to read food labels. It's called what I call a keystone habit. So if you only learn one thing from this as you watch this, I want you to learn food label reading. Because if you start looking at the food labels and you start looking at the labels on your canned food or anything else, or boxed food, then you're going to notice themes and you're going to be healthier, because it's just going to create a cascade effect. Okay. So a couple of ideas on food label reading. Number one is look for minimal ingredients. Okay. The less, the better. The less, the better. So the less ingredients in there, the better it's going to be for you. And I'll give you some examples in a couple of minutes. Number two, look for natural ingredients. And if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Jack LaLanne is one of the healthiest people on planet Earth. Before he died at the age of 96. This is the guy who was a strong man. He's a chiropractor, by the way. He was at 70 years old. He swam from Alcatraz to Fisherman's Wharf in San Diego. At 70, towing 70 rowboats with his hands shackled together. That's unbelievable if you think about it. And I saw an interview with him one time on TV, and the interviewer said, "Hey, Jack, what do you do to stay so healthy?" He said, I only have one rule. If man made it, I won't eat it. Simple as that. So you don't want to be eating things you can't pronounce because that stuff is not good for you. It's artificial. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. It's not cooperating with the way your body was designed. We always say, like, your body needs no help to heal you. It just needs no interference. That's the principle that I live my life by, and that when I help people, that's how I help them. Your body doesn't need any help to heal you. Health is your birthright. Your body knows exactly what to do if you remove interference. And when you're putting foods that you can't pronounce in your body, it's causing interference in your body, and you're not cooperating with the way it was designed. Hence, sickness, disease, rather than health and wellness. Try to buy more foods without any labels at all, right? That's fruits and vegetables. People ask me, like, do you need to buy organic fruits and vegetables? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There's a great website or a great app called ewg.org, and they have a list called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. That's EWG, environmentalworkinggroup.org. The Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So the Dirty Dozen is that comes out every year, and it says, okay, these are the fruits and vegetables that are sprayed with the most pesticides. Yes, you want to buy them organic, because when you buy them organic, they can't be sprayed with pesticides. That's what organic means. It can't be sprayed down like all the rest of the stuff. So the Clean 15, though, is you don't need to waste your money on organic. So like bananas are always on there. Like you don't need to buy organic bananas or organic avocados because they have a thick skin on the outside. So you don't waste your money on those. But you can pick up the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, but buy more foods without any food labels at all. Check every label on every single thing that you buy, and then put items right back in the shelf that are man-made. Like if you can't pronounce it again, put it back out, put it back on the shelf, and don't buy that. So start reading your food labels. And as you start to read your food labels, and you'll see as I go through this a little bit more, you're going to see what I'm talking about. You'll go, okay, I'm recognizing the things that are making me sick, and I'm making an informed decision about this stuff. So good example. Rule number 1, organic crunchy Valencia peanut butter. What was rule number 1? The less ingredients, the better. So what should be in peanut butter? So where are you looking here? I don't pay much attention up here. Okay. I don't look at sodium. People ask me about salt all the time. I've never once thought about the salt in my diet, ever. It's not a problem for most people. Most people, it's sugar and inflammatory things much more than it is salt. And more people are, well, what about high blood pressure? Yes, if you eat less inflammatory foods, your blood pressure will go down. It's not eating less sodium foods. High blood pressure is a sign of inflammation of the large arteries. We want to get rid of inflammation here. Okay, so I don't pay a whole lot of attention up here. I do look at sugar. All right. So one of my rules of thumb with sugar is you want to eat foods that have less than 10 grams of sugar per serving size. This only has 1 gram of sugar, so it's going to be good. A Coca-Cola would have 60 grams of sugar per serving size. So if you can get it in the single digits, you're going to be in good shape. But where I really try to look is right here in the ingredients section. So ingredients, organic roasted unblanched Valencia peanuts, and that's it. Right? So there's 1 ingredient right there. Now, Skippy peanut butter. So on the front, I never pay attention to what it says on the front because they can lie to you through their teeth on the front if they want to. And here's a good example. This says no trans fat. The reason that Skippy can put no trans fat and Doritos can put no trans fat is not because they took the trans fat out of the food. It's because the food manufacturers got the laws changed so that if there's less than a certain amount of trans fat per serving, they can say trans fat free even though it's not. How do I know that it's not trans fat free? You turn it over, and what do you see on the back? Ingredients. How many ingredients? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is going to be the better peanut butter. The last one, right? Now look at what's in here. Soybean oil, which means partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. That is a trans fat, yet on the front it says no trans fat. Okay? Because again, they changed the labeling laws. Food companies are not trying to look out for you and make you well. They're looking to make you fat so you eat more. It's simple as that, guys. They want you addicted to their food. They want you having to consume more calories, and they want it to taste good so you don't stop eating it. And usually that means they're adding stuff like this that's going to make you addicted to the food, number 1, but you're not going to get the calories that you want. So you cannot depend on the food companies to make you healthy. You have to do that yourself, so we have to become well informed. So I know that the maker of Skippy peanut butter is not looking out for my health. So that's the gist of a lot of ingredients versus a little bit of ingredients. So hopefully that makes sense. So now let's get into some of the top 5 toxic foods that are going to make you sick, and then how to learn something about food labels and ingredients from all of these things. So they are salad dressings. You can learn a lot from salad dressings. And the reason I say that's number 1 is because people think they're eating good when they eat a salad, and then they're dumping these dressings on them that are killing them. But so I'm going to teach you a good alternative for all of these things. Candy and soda, we'll learn why those are so bad for you. Deli and packaged meat. People ask this stuff a lot, like what's so wrong with deli and packaged meat, like, normal lunch meat or bologna or bacon or something like that, and I'll show you. White bread, why white bread is so bad for you, and it's an anti-nutrient. And then sprayed produce. This is becoming more and more of a problem with this glyphosate, which is Roundup. You see the commercials on TV all the time with lawyers trying to sue Monsanto now because this Roundup has been shown to cause cancer. And Roundup is just weed killer that they spray on produce, especially non-organic produce. And it's been shown 100% to cause cancer. Like, absolutely causes cancer. Monsanto knows it causes cancer. They've tried to hide the fact that it causes cancer. It still causes cancer, right? So you really got to watch out for the sprayed produce. So we're going to give you some good solutions for all of these, okay? So number one, commercial salad dressings. The main problem there is going to be what they sweeten it with, which is going to be a lot of times high fructose corn syrup, which is a terrible form of sugar, and they use it because it's cheap, okay? Or they'll just use regular sugar. So they're loaded with those. Bad fats. It's loaded with bad fats. Typically, bad fats are going to be things like vegetable oil or canola oil, which you'll see in a minute, or soybean oil. Those are junky bad fats that cause inflammation. As you know, good fats prevent inflammation, and good fats are fish oil, avocado oil, olive oil, right? Those are going to be your good fats. Coconut oil. Those are your good fats. Those are anti-inflammatory. They have additives like MSG, which is just designed to make something junky taste good. And then a lot of them have this fat-free farce, which is, when you take away the fat, your body doesn't get the nutrients. A lot of these nutrients are what's called fat-soluble vitamins. So if you're not getting fat with your meal, you're not getting these fat-soluble vitamins and absorbed into your body a lot of times. And when they take the fat out, they add a lot of sugar. Okay, so let me give you an example of this one down here. This is a popular Italian dressing example that you might think would be good for you because it's just oil and vinegar, right? Well, let's look at what type of oil. So the first thing is water. Second, soybean and canola oil. Those are bad. Those are almost like trans fats. They're called rancid vegetable oils. Canola, if you've heard me talk before, there's no such thing there's no such thing as canola. It's Canadian oil, low acid, canola. It's made from rapeseed oil, highly genetically modified, very inflammatory. Okay, it's not good for you. I don't care what anybody ever told you, because I learned that canola oil was good for me back in the day. It's absolutely not. So canola and soybean oil. What would be better choices in your dressing? Olive oil, avocado oil. Those would be much better. Why don't they use those? Because they're more expensive than these cheap junky oils, okay? So you can find dressings with olive oil. You just got to look, all right? Like Bragg's makes a great, Bragg's is one of the great brands that makes really good Italian dressing with actual olive oil. It costs like $1 more than this junky one, but it's absolutely worth it because it's not causing inflammation. Distilled vinegar, that's fine. But then you got sugar, and that's going to be a lot of sugar if you look at the food label. Dehydrated garlic and onion and red bell pepper, that's fine. Maltodextrin is sugar, xanthan gum, spices. Autolyzed yeast extract is MSG. Okay, anytime you see autolyzed yeast extract or hydrolyzed vegetable protein, that's just another name for MSG, monosodium glutamate. EDTA, which is a preservative, again, not good for you. Caramel color, lemon juice concentrate, that stuff's all fine. So this is what's not, is the bad oils in there. And then you got a lot of sugar and maltodextrin, and then you have MSG. So I'll give you some examples of what to do better at the end of this thing. So I'll give you a better way to do salad dressing. Now, number 2, candy. Again, sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Sugar and high fructose corn syrup cause just about every disease known to man. They increase inflammation. So heart disease, how does it cause heart disease? It causes swelling of the large arteries. It causes your HDL, your good cholesterol, to go down, so it's not scrubbing your arteries and getting them nice and clean. Let's look at cancer. How does it feed cancer? Literally, cancer cells eat sugar. Normal cells use oxygen. Cancer cells ferment sugar. How does it cause Alzheimer's disease? Alzheimer's disease is called type 3 diabetes now. It's the same process as diabetes. How does sugar cause diabetes? It causes your insulin levels to go up till your body won't listen to insulin anymore. So the top 4 killers that are disease killers are caused by too much sugar. And a lot of that stuff's coming from candy. So bad fats, empty calories, like this, there's no nutritional value to this, but there's a ton of calories. Sugar can be very addictive. What about sugar-free? People ask me, well, what about sugar-free, Coke or sugar-free this or sugar-free that? I don't recommend anybody eats sugar-free anything if it's sweetened with any type of artificial sweetener like aspartame, sucralose, which is Splenda, You don't want that stuff in your body ever, or saccharin. That's another one. So that would be the pink packet, the blue packet, or the yellow packet. So what are some good sugar alternatives? Monk fruit is a great one. Xylitol is a great one. Stevia is a great one. Those are sweet, but they don't have any blood sugar effect. They do not drive your blood sugar up or cause inflammation. So you can use those instead. So I love chocolate. So Lily's is a great brand of chocolate, and they sweeten their chocolate with stevia. So they make chocolate chips. I just made these breakfast bars, gluten-free breakfast bars with chocolate chips. And what's in there? Lily's chocolate chips, and they taste amazing. They make peanut butter cups. They make different chocolate bars. So Lily's is a great source for that. You can get gummy bears, believe it or not, that are sweetened with xylitol and that they don't have artificial colors. Their coloring comes from like beets or, different types of fruits and vegetables, which is really cool. It tastes just like gummy bears, but it doesn't have that, all that sugar and partially or artificial sweetener. Now, when you get down here into like Snickers, 30 grams of sugar is 7 teaspoons. So men should have no more than 34 grams of sugar. Women typically no more than 25 or 26 grams of added sugar per day. If you eat one Snickers, you're blowing that out of the water. Hershey's dark chocolate bar. You think, oh, that's got to be better than Snickers because I heard dark chocolate is good for me. Yeah, dark chocolate is good for you, but what's not? 24 grams of sugar that's in there. So really, what are some lateral moves? Easy. You could do a Lily's bar that's dark chocolate that doesn't have any sugar in it. Now, does it cost more than the Hershey's bar? Yes. But this is something I want you to hear from me. People say it's too expensive to eat well. Being healthy costs too much. And if you think being healthy costs too much, then wait until you try disease. That's expensive. Managing your diabetes for the rest of your life, that's expensive. Ending up in a nursing home, that's expensive. Having to pay your deductible because you had to have a surgery that cost $10,000 that could have been avoided, that is expensive. All right? This stuff's not expensive. This is an investment in your health. Soda. Look at the amount of sugar that's in soda. It's obvious. I always bring up the example. If you and I went to lunch tomorrow and I get, let's see, this middle one here. So that Coke, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and a half. So 16 sugar cubes in this Coca-Cola. So if we went to lunch and while I was eating my food, I also ate 16 sugar cubes. You'd be like, this guy's crazy. He just ate 16 sugar cubes at lunch. But you wouldn't think anything if I got 2 Coke refills. And I'm going to get just as much sugar from the Coke refills. So kicking that stuff, good lateral moves. You can use Zevia soda, which is sweetened with stevia. You can get that at Sprouts or Whole Foods, anywhere like that, or Vitamin Cottage. You can do like LaCroix, which is what I do, which is a sparkling water that's flavored with like peach pear or mango. And then I put a couple drops of stevia in there and I'm good to go. So I literally just never drink this stuff because I know how incredibly bad that is for you. Now, what about diet? Again, don't eat the stuff that has the artificial sweeteners. So those artificial sweeteners are excitotoxins. They excite the brain cells to the point where the cells blow up and they leak out glutamate, which glutamate will then go kill the brain cell next to it. So it literally causes a chain reaction of brain cell death. They're man-made, chemically altered, unnatural product. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. And it actually makes you hungrier. Okay, so aspartame, Splenda, those are the 2 that are in most things now. They've shown that your biggest risk factor to being overweight is the amount of diet sodas that you drink. They said looking at all of the different habits of people, the people that drank the most diet sodas were more likely to be overweight than anybody else because these actually damage your appetite centers that make you more hungry. So you're not even saving yourself from being overweight if you're drinking the diet stuff. Get rid of the diet stuff. If you're going to choose between a Coke and a Diet Coke, I would much rather you drink the Coke because there's problems with the Coke. There's even more problems with the diet stuff because of those artificial sweeteners, okay? You also got to watch out for the artificial sweeteners, like just in gum is a good example. You hear me say xylitol is good, so you go buy Trident with xylitol. It says it on the front. But if you turn it over and read the back, it's sweetened with xylitol, but the next ingredient after that is aspartame. Aspartame is equal. It's an artificial sweetener, and that's why you got to read these food labels, okay? So deli and packaged meat, what's the problem here? Typically, and I'm talking about traditional deli packaged meat. I'll show you one that works much better in a few minutes. But poor quality commercial meat, watch the movie Food Matters if you're wondering like how these things are raised. I mean, just horribly. Like most of and I'm not a vegan, right? But these, like the way we raise cattle and chicken and pigs right now especially on these non-organic farms, it's just horrific. And so you're going to take in an unhealthy animal in an unhealthy environment and then eating it. And then what else do they add to it? Nitrites. Okay, nitrites. And this is, we go down to the quote down here, 68% higher risk of pancreatic cancer than those eat than those that eat the least amount of this hot dogs and packaged meat. Okay. And that was because of the nitrites. So nitrites have been linked to all types of different cancers. All these also have MSG, and then all kinds of additives, colorings, and preservatives. They're generally not good for you. Now, there's a brand, I'll circle back to this in a few minutes. Applegate Farms is a good brand that we buy. So if we buy deli meat that's in a package, Applegate Farms is good. They make sausage that's really good because it's organic. It's the animals are fed non-GMO food. They're not injected with antibiotics or steroids, so you're not getting that stuff passed into you as well. So the problem with packaged meat is you're taking like the worst conditions and then concentrating that down into meat. So you're getting, it's called the law of biological accumulation. So you aren't what you ate, you are what you ate. So these things are fed, genetically modified, sprayed with poison. That's the food that they're eating. Well, that stuff's getting passed on to you. Okay. Now, nitrites, people ask that question, like, why do you do that? Well, it gives a red, like fresh color to packaged meats, even though it's not fresh. It's going to be in hot dogs, bacon, deli meats, sausage, pepperoni, beef jerky, that stuff. It's banned in a lot of countries. It was almost banned in the United States, but guess who got that overturned? Food companies. The World Cancer Research Fund concluded in 2009 that processed meats are too dangerous for human consumption. There's DNA mutating compounds. That's from the sprayed, the food that they're eating and what they're sprayed with. Those things can actually damage your DNA. That's the glyphosate I was telling you about. And then children of pregnant moms eating lots of red meat are at increased risk of developing brain tumors. Yes. Why? Because there's all kinds of different hormones and antibiotics and terrible stuff in there. So you're really trying to stay away from these nitrites, and the nitrites are unfortunately in a lot of the processed food. Now, if you go and you're buying bacon and you buy Applegate Farms bacon or bacon that says nitrite free, then you're going to be in a much better place, but you got to look for that. So if you read the food label and it says nitrites, you want to put that stuff back. Okay, white bread. White bread is a is an anti-nutrient. Okay. So they start out with highly sprayed grain. So these are never organic, by the way. Wonder Bread's not organic. So they spray the heck out of it with toxins and pesticides. It's stripped of all vitamins, mineral, and fiber. It takes the fiber away from it. If you eat wheat and you eat the whole grain, right? So if you eat like brown rice, you're getting the fiber that slows down the sugar impact on your body. So if you're eating brown rice the way it was designed, that's what's happening. It doesn't cause this high blood sugar effect. But when you eat white rice, all that is brown rice with the wheat, the germ or the fiber taken off. It's stripped off. So the only part left is the white part, which is just sugar. All right. So that's why white rice generally is not good for you, because it causes such a sugar effect. Bleached and highly processed can cause tremendous spikes in blood sugar, like I just said, and usually are combined with bad fats and sugar. So let's go ahead and look over here. Popular white bread. By the way, I mean this for just because it's brown doesn't mean it's good for you. If you buy Sara Lee or Oro Wheat white bread, or you buy Sara Lee or Oro Wheat, what they call wheat bread, and it happens to be brown, it doesn't mean it's any better for you. They just added some coloring back to it. It's not better for you. So I'll tell you about some good breads in a few minutes, but look at what's in here. Enriched wheat flour. Okay, that means enriched means they had to put all the vitamins back into it because they took all the vitamins out of it. And then you got high fructose corn syrup, which does not belong in bread at all. Then you got soybean oil down here and just all of this other bad stuff. Remember, we said the less ingredients, the better when it comes to your bread. So I'll give you a good example of that. And then the last is sprayed produce. The problem with that is there's no disclosure on produce. You don't know what you're getting if you're just buying a regular apple. If it's not organic. Many chemicals haven't been studied for long-term effects, so there's new chemicals every year, and they don't know what that's causing to people. It can cause neurological symptoms, allergic reactions, been linked to cancer, like the glyphosate I was just telling you about, and contributes to the overall toxic load. Like we get so many toxins, we don't need more toxins in our life. So that's why when you do like the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, like I buy organic spinach, I buy organic lettuce, I buy organic anything that's on the Dirty Dozen list. I'm going to buy those because I don't want to, if you're getting a non-organic lettuce, that's a bowl of pesticides basically. So, spend your money wisely when it comes to the organic foods, but like things like lettuce would be a really good one to spend the organic on. So the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, This was from a couple of years ago. So here's the things that you don't need to buy organic on the left over here. Onions, avocados, sweet corn, mango and kiwi, asparagus, right? Those are okay to buy normal. The Dirty Dozen, you need to buy these organic. Peaches, apples, bell peppers, celery, nectarines, strawberries, carrots, grapes, lettuce, right? Kale, those things, because there's no protection against the what they're sprayed with. So this can really help you out and save you some money and give you a good idea of what you're looking for in the store. Now, top 5 alternatives. Salad dressings. Number 1, you can use Bragg's. So if you write that down, BRAGG''S, that's a good salad dressing. You need to get that at a health food store typically. That's literally almost the only one that's any good. People ask me about Annie's all the time. What about Annie's? It's filled with canola oil and a lot of sugar. So typically no. You can also make your own. And that's what I do. I just make my own salad dressing. It's super easy. If I make a salad, usually I'll just do olive oil or avocado oil and some balsamic vinegar and I'm good. I don't need to do anything else. If you want to make it a little bit more fancy, you can make a honey mustard. I mean, there's a ton of different dressings you can make. It takes an extra 30 seconds or a minute maybe if you're making them, and you just use them right there at your house. So I make my own typically, or I'll use Bragg's. Number 2, candy. Lick the sugar habit. Just like when you stop eating so much sugar, you won't want to eat so much. Don't have that stuff in your house. That's another thing. It was my birthday recently, and my daughter bought me a bunch of candy. And I ate some of it on my birthday, and I left some in the pantry. And then sure enough, the next day, I'm like, I'll just have one of these real quick. And then so I ate one, and then I threw the rest of the stuff away because I don't need that temptation. So the candy that I have in there now, that would be like Lily's. And I like candy as much as anybody else. So if I go to the movies, I'll take my own Lily's peanut butter cups, which are amazing, and I feel good about myself rather than eating, a whole bag of Reese's peanut butter cups. Deli and packaged meat. You want clean sources there, so that's going to be Applegate Farms is one of the most accessible. Look for something that says nitrite free. But Applegate Farms is great. They make a really good chicken sausage as well that we use quite a bit. We use their bacon. We use like their turkey. If you buy turkey to go on a camping trip or something like that, then Applegate Farms is going to be much better for you. White bread. So instead of white bread, you want to go sprouted. Okay, so whole wheat doesn't necessarily mean a lot these days. Stone ground is usually better, but they can sneak that stuff into some other stuff. Sprouted grain bread is what you're looking for. And when you sprout grain, a lot of good things happen. It doesn't cause a big blood sugar effect, doesn't cause inflammation, and it also decreases something called phytic acid, so you don't have such a effect to the gluten. Most people have a gluten sensitivity. Even if you don't have celiac disease, a lot of people still have a gluten sensitivity. And then number 5 here is sprayed produce. So look at your Clean 15 and make sure you're looking at the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. So buying those things organic and making sure you're not getting all those pesticides. So pantry makeover, real simple. Use this, not this. You can pause this and just write these things down if you want as well. So instead of using tortilla chips, use almond thins or nut thins or Mary's Gone crackers. Mary's Gone crackers that's my go-to for crackers. I love nut thins as well. Those are great for you compared to tortilla chips. Instead of sugar, use something like Swerve, which is the erythritol I was talking about earlier, or stevia. Also, monk fruit you could put on there. Monk fruit is really good as well. It's a 1-to-1 sugar equivalent. Instead of sweet drinks, use something like LaCroix or the Zevia I was telling you about. Instead of regular flour, which is inflammatory, you can use almond flour, which is an alternative flour. Like when I made those breakfast bars, I used almond flour instead of the regular flour it called for. You can use almond flour to make waffles. You can use it to make cookies. You can use it to make a ton of different things, pancakes, all kinds of things. Instead of regular chocolate, Lily's chocolate. Instead of regular milk, most pasteurized dairy causes a lot of food allergies. You can use almond milk or hemp milk or flax milk. And instead of canola oil, use olive oil. So just 1-to-1 simple equivalents of things you can change there. Last couple things people always ask me about eating on the go. So be prepared, number 1. If you're traveling a lot, I'll take these breakfast bars I just made, or I'll take like a Kind bar or several Kind bars with me that I got at the store. Or I'll take trail mix because I know I'm going to be hungry. I don't want to be caught in an airport hungry. So I'll take my own snacks. Now, what I choose if I do have to eat on the go. If I go, like Tokyo Joe's is an easy one. You can get lettuce wraps at Tokyo Joe's that are great for you, which I love. That's one of my go-tos. If I'm stuck at like a regular place like a bar and grill or a normal restaurant, I don't have a lot of other choice. A lot of times I'll do burger, no bun. So I'll get a burger, still get the same flavor, keep the bun because I don't need the enriched wheat flour and all the other stuff that's in that. And then instead of fries, typically I'll try to get some type of salad on the side or some type of vegetable as well. Still getting a real satisfying meal. At a Mexican place, fajitas without the tortillas. So you, again, eat the chicken and the peppers and the onions and the, refried beans and the salsa and the guacamole and all of that stuff. And you're still getting all the same flavors without the tortillas, which are, there's a ton of carbohydrates. There's bad fats in those things as well. There's a ton of calories in those. So that's a simple one. You can do a salad at a Mexican place as well. And then if I'm out at a normal restaurant, like double veggies, no starch. So let's say I want to order like this chicken marsala or something, right? And it's going to come with veggies and it's going to come with pasta. Well, instead of the pasta, I'll just get double veggies. So I still get the chicken marsala, but instead of noodles, I'll just get, hey, can I get an extra serving of vegetables instead? And by the way, what I'm talking about here, that's how the rest of the world eats. This isn't crazy. This is how most of the rest of the world eats their food. We're so used to having so many carbohydrates and everything, and that's what we got to start getting rid of. So hopefully you learn some things from this that you can start putting into place right away and start using in